Hi, this is Fatima. In this video, let us have a brief introduction to ASP.NET Core MVC framework. Before proceeding to this video, watch my previous video where we have discussed about custom environments in ASP.NET Core application. MVC stands for Model View Controller. In general, a real-time application may consist of these three layers: presentation layer, business logic layer, and data access layer. This presentation layer is responsible for interacting with the user, and this business logic layer is responsible for implementing the code business logic of an application. And this layer is responsible for interacting with the database to perform the CRUD operations. Now this MVC Model View Controller design pattern is basically used to implement this presentation layer. So it is an architectural software design pattern which is used to develop interactive web application where there is an user interaction involved, and based on the user interaction some event handling occurs. The most important point you need to keep in mind is that it is not only used for developing web apps, but also this MVC design pattern is used to develop desktop or mobile applications. How this MVC design pattern works? For example, we want to design an application where we need to display the product details in the web page like this. So when we issue a request something like this from the web browser, then the controller is the component in MVC design pattern actually handles the incoming request. In order to handle this incoming request, these controller components do things such as it creates the model that is required by the view. The model is a component in MVC design pattern which basically contains classes which is used to store the domain data, or you can say the business data. This model also contains a required logic in order to retrieve the data from the database. Once a model is created by the controller then selects a view to render this model data. So while selecting the view, it is the responsibility of the controller to pass this model data. The only responsibility of the view in the MVC design pattern is to render this model data to the client. So the view will generate the necessary HTML in order to render this model data. Once the HTML is generated by the view, then the HTML is then sent to the client over the network who initially made that request. Let us discuss each of these components in the MVC design pattern little detail. Model. Model is the component in MVC design pattern which is used to manage the data, that is the state of the application in memory. We can simply say it is a set of classes used to describe the application's logic, business logic, and data access logic. If you see these snaps, here under this model folder we are having two classes. This model consists of product class as well the sample product repository class, and we used this product class to hold this product data in memory, and this sample product repository class is used to manage the product data, that is it's going to perform the CRUD operation. Here if you see this product class represents the data, and sample product repository class is used to manage the product data, that is it retrieves the product here. Here we can also have the logics to perform create, update, and delete. The most important point is that the model never depends on the view or controller. This is one of the main reasons for the separation of concerns. This separation of concerns allows us to build the model and test independently of the visual presentation. View. This view component in MVC design pattern is used to contain the logic to represent the model data as a UI with which the end user can interact. In other words, we can say that it renders the business data provided to it by the controller. In our example, we want to display the product data in the web page. So the product model carried the product data to this view. The one and only responsibility of this view is to render the product data on the web page by using this HTML. Controller. This controller is a component in an MVC application which is used to handle the incoming HTTP request, and based on the user action, the respective controller will work with the models and view and then sends the response back to the user. So it is the one which will interact with both models and views to control the flow of application execution. For example, when the user issued a request like this in the web browser, then this request is mapped to the details action method of the product controller. Here if you see, the controller uses the product repository class to fetch the product data from the database by passing an ID. Once the controller creates the product model with the necessary product data, then it passes the product model to the details view. Then the details view generates the necessary HTML in order to present the product data. Once the HTML is generated, it is sent to the client over the network who made the request initially. If it is not clear at this moment, then no worries, we are going to implement these things as we progress through this course. ASP.NET Core MVC Framework. This ASP.NET Core MVC Framework provides us with a pattern-based way to develop dynamic websites and web applications with a clear separation of concerns. This web framework provides us a full control over the markup. It's a lightweight, open source, highly testable presentation framework. Hope you enjoy this video. Our next video is about how to set up a MVC middleware in ASP.NET Core application. Thank you.